Good morning.
Evening, teacher.
Hello, Freddy.
How are you?
Very good. How about you?
Fine, teacher.
Great. So I'm gonna write down your names, Freddy, to annotate the assistance. Now, guys, please mute your microphones.
Excuse me.
Please mute your microphone. Thank you. And later on, when I require your assistance, you're gonna unmute yourselves. In the meantime, Freddy is with us. Okay. Also, I have Patricia. Good. I also have Loren. Okay,
Hello,
Loren.
teacher and everybody.
Hello. Hello, Loren. I also have Uli.
Hello, teacher, and everybody here.
Hello. Loren, please mute your microphone. And we're gonna start.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So, am I sharing? Oh, I need to record this session also. Okay, got it. Is it recording? Why? Now it is recording. Yeah. Alright, so today we have a CEPTO lesson, and it's about writing. The way we're carrying out these sessions is by talking about the 4 language skills: writing, reading, speaking, and listening. Today we have writing, and today's topic about writing is transitional phrases. So, before we start, we need to make clear that transitional phrases relate to conjunctions. What are conjunctions? Conjunctions are ways, are words that we use to tie ideas together. So, for example, if I have, I like books and movies. I have object number 1 and object number 2. How do I tie this together? Well, with the and. This is a conjunction. It's allowing me to connect object number 1 with number 2. With conjunctions, we have coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions are those that coordinate our ideas, those that link the ideas. We have for, nor, but, yet, so. Need to remember this: fanboys. F for, A for and, V for but, and so on. Coordinating conjunctions, when you write, are probably the easiest one to recognize. And if you are between B1 and B2 reference level, you probably use this very well. Now we also have subordinating conjunctions. Subordinating conjunctions introduce dependent clauses to add more information. What is a dependent clause? It's a type of phrase that doesn't have a subject. And some examples of this are however, either, similarly, whereas. So what is the use of however, either, similarly, and whereas? What do these have in common? Well, they have in common that we're introducing more information, where in the case of however, we're introducing information of contrast, either also contrast, similarly, something that's similar, and whereas it works like while is telling us that something is happening at the same time as something else. So in general, subordinated conjunctions are used to add more information. And right here I have a drill where we can recognize some of the subordinating conjunctions we have in English. It says, can you spot the subordinating conjunctions in this piece of text? Where have they been used in this sentence? And we have, as he walked closer, Cleo could see the crocodiles in the cave entrance. The beast was hurriedly eating the remains of its last unlucky victim, because it was ravenous. Let's stop there. So the beast was hurriedly eating the remains of its last unlucky victim. We have idea number 1 right here. Number 1. And we have, it was ravenous. We're given the reason of that idea. So we need to connect those. I use because. And just simply by using because, I'm making a longer sentence. This is only one sentence, and it's long because I'm using because. Cleo examined its bright red eyes, huge smoking nostrils, and razor-sharp teeth, while the beast was occupied. Again, idea number 1, idea number 2, connected by while. While is adding more information. In this case, it's adding something that happened at the same time as the Cleo examination. Although in this case doesn't have 2 sentences, but it's allowing me to start a new sentence. So, okay, I have this, but I also want to take something else. So I'm probably going to talk about a contrast. So, although Cleo was standing quite a distance away, the terrible, strange, or gruesome beast was still making him feel nauseous. Cleo took a deep breath before. Again, we have number 1 and number 2. Number 2, number 1. These are independent clauses, because each of them have a subject. It was time for battle. Okay. The reason we're doing this is because I want you to note what are the subordinating conjunctions. Now let's talk about that. So what are the benefits of using subordinating conjunctions? What did you note about that particular exercise? Let's start with Loren. Loren, please tell me. What are conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions used for?
For my opinion, they are useful because when a person is talking, he or she can express his or her ideas clearly and with concurrence.
Very good, thank you. So I'm gonna summarize that with ideas with more detail. Thank you, Lauren. You can close your microphone right now.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Patricia, please tell me, what are the benefits of using subordinating conjunctions?
Hello, teacher. I think that the idea or the principal idea to use subordinating conjunctions is the use of or the idea to add more information to a sentence and it depends of the clause in each one of the sentence. Add more
Very good.
information.
Information. That was excellent.
Okay, teacher.
Great, thank you. How about Juli? What do you think about that? And what are the benefits of using it?
I think the benefits is a clear idea of any text is organized the structure of the sentence and is the way that you show uh, like a organization of the text of the paragraph.
Perfect. Very good. Well said. Thank you. And finally, Freddy. Please go ahead, Freddy.
Yes, teacher. I think these help us to explain, to learn, or to know more about the topic that we are talking about.
To explain more, right?
Yes, explain or learn or to know more about the topic that we are talking about. Or
Very good, Freddy. That was very good. All right, thank you. So, in summary, subordinating conjunctions help us organize our ideas, to explain, to know more about the topic. In the case we're writing, we're explaining to our reader, all right? So we're not writing to ourselves. Remember to always, when you write, you're writing to someone, and you want to explain as much as possible. So when Freddy says that, it's very important because you're showing more information about the topic you're talking about. And one idea is that when you use subordinating conjunctions, writing is easier for you because you get to add more information. Also, Lawrence said, ideas with more detail. That's very good. You offer more information about those ideas, thereby they end up having more detail. And finally, they add more information, just what as Freddy said. So very good of you guys. Now, in regards to the CEPTO, the way I want to portray subordinating conjunctions and transitional phrases is that this type of words are a way for you to keep on talking, because when you are presented with a writing exercise from the CEPTO, you need to talk as much as you can, write as much as you can. Originally, the CEPTO has two components. One is writing, one is listening, and the other is reading. These are evaluated by a computer. Now, they will not make a significant difference to that exam to make it more complete. So they will not put a teacher to evaluate speaking and writing. These are evaluated by a human. Keep that in mind, because when you write, you need to keep in mind that you're writing to a human, particularly a human from this university, so it's likely to help you and not to pass as many errors as you have in that test. I want to show you how does that test look like, because I did it very recently, about 4 months ago. I got, well, the speaking and the writing session is done by Skype. You're gonna have the teacher that's gonna evaluate you. And here you have task 1. Write a 5-paragraph essay to answer the question. Write about 300 to 500 words. Your test will be marked down if it's extremely short. Right off the bat, what can we see? They are required us to write a long test, about 300 to 500. Also, very important, write 5 paragraphs. This was my topic. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? When people succeed, it is entirely because of hard work. Luck has nothing to do with their success. Use specific reasons and examples to explain your position. So I know I need to write a lot, so I'm gonna make some good use of subordinating conjunctions. For example, I have I use however. On the other hand, this is partially true. For some countries. Finally, it is also important. I use lots of transitional words and also subordinating conjunctions. I got the maximum score right there. Not because of the way I talk about it, but because I talk a lot even about things that were not included within this exercise. For example, they asked me to talk about success, but I also talk about some countries. I'll talk about Denmark, Sweden, Norway. I talk about dreams. So the idea is to keep on talking as much as you can. If you want to talk about your family, about the war in Colombia, about the politics in the United States, do that, because that's gonna give you a higher chance of getting a higher score. And that is the writing exercise of the CEPTO. So we're talking about subordinating conjunctions because you need to write as much as you can as well. What the CEPTO evaluates? It's gonna evaluate grammar, syntax, and analysis. Again, as you're being evaluated by a human, you're most likely to be referred only to analysis. Yes, the evaluator is gonna notice if you have bad grammar, bad syntax, if you use the perfect tense as opposed to the present tense where you shouldn't have to. He's gonna notice that. But honestly, if you're taking the CEPTO, you're probably a B2 or C1, so you don't have to worry as much about that. On the other hand, you need to worry about a lot about analysis, because this is where we're gonna understand what you want to say. And for that reason, we use transitional phrases. So what are transitional phrases? These are very similar to subordinating conjunctions. However, sometimes we have words, or sometimes we have groups of words. We have, for example, when we want to illustrate, what is illustration? Given an example. So, for example, thus, for example, for instance, namely, to illustrate, in other words, in particular, specifically, such as. Those are transitional words of illustration. Contrast. When we want to say something that goes in contrast to something we want to say, we use on the contrary, contrarily, notwithstanding, but, however, nevertheless, in spite of, in contrast, yet, on one hand, and so on. I personally use this website. Whenever I have to write an essay, I know I have to use lots of transitional words, because that's gonna help me, as you guys said, make my writing more clear. I'm gonna talk more, I'm gonna use more information, and I'm gonna be more organized. In the case of transitional words, we have cases of illustration, contrast, addition, time, pace, concession, comparison, emphasis. There's millions of that. One good advice that I give you is try to be original. You can do a mix of contrast, addition, and time if you need to. And that largely depends on something we call style. The style of the writer. There's no right or wrong answer as long as it makes sense. As long as the sense you want to portray. So let's practice. I'm gonna open a worksheet about transitional phrases. I think it's right here. No. And we're gonna fill some blanks together. Let's wait until it opens. Okay, this is an essay. It's only one page. It has various exercises, not as much as you think. We're gonna do this one by one. So, let's start filling in this blank. Sources for college writing. Students can draw on a variety of sources to help them with writing assignments. First major idea. I know here I have to make an introductory transitional phrase. So how will I start this sentence? They can draw on his personal experience. So for this, I want, let's see, Patricia, do you please help me? What would you write to start that sentence? You can be as original as you want, but it has to make sense.
I am not sure, teacher, what kind of word or conjunction can I use in this place? I'm not sure, teacher.
Let's say if this was your essay, and you were to write something to start that sentence, how would you start? Even if you're not sure, give me what you think.
Maybe I can start this test with, as you know, I'm not sure if this expression is possible in this space.
As you know.
As everybody knows.
No. Okay.
Because I think that I have to read something about the test to have idea what is the topic of the test to complete this space. I'm not sure, teacher.
That's fine. Well, my advice is that you can only read about the sentence, because every sentence is gonna talk about something quite different. So, students can draw on a variety of sources to help them with rewriting assignments. As you know, they can draw on personal experience. That sounds very good. If I were your evaluator, I'm gonna pass it. So, first thing first. Be original. If it sounds well, keep it that way. Keep it that way. If it makes sense, much better. So you can do a group of words as you want. That was good. We're gonna leave it like that. Thank you, Patricia. Now they can draw on personal experience. Now here we know that we need to introduce a transitional phrase of an illustration. So it's asking me for an example. Right here I have some of these words are
Therefore.
no, illustration. So given an example. Thus, for example, for instance, namely, to illustrate, in other words, in particular, specifically such as. So, Lauren, what would you use?
For the second line,
Yes, this one.
I think it's thus. Done.
Thus,
Could
let's
you
read.
show me?
No, but first focus on the sentence. Look, it's asking you for an example, and then for an assignment about communication skills, our writer might think about the way he or she communicates. Try to make sense of that.
Could you show me the screen of the illustration words?
All right.
They control personal experience. That's the first one is
Okay, don't worry about the learn.
for instance, I think for instance.
Yes, that's correct. For instance.
For instance.
Let me read it for you. So they can draw on personal experience. For instance, for an assignment about communication skills, a writer might think about the way he or she communicates through conversations with others while at work or at home. Very good, Lauren. You can mute your microphone.
Okay.
Thank you. Got one message. Oh no, it's not right here. So there we have our two major sentences. Now I'm starting a new paragraph. So knowing that I'm starting a new paragraph and I need to make sense of this, I'll write in my look at the way he or she communicates with others electronically, via email, or texting, or Facebook. So Freddy, how would you start that sentence? This one right here.
Okay, teacher. I recommend look always communicate with others. In another way, or in another hand, maybe we can
Yes. So which one would you prefer? In another way or on another hand?
another way.
In another way. Wait. Another. Sorry. In another way. In another way, I'll write in my look at the way he or she communicates with others electronically via email or texting or Facebook. That sounds very good. So we're gonna leave it like that. Well, we have another way right here. So in another way, I'll write in my look at this way. It sounds repetitive. So how would you change that, Freddy?
Okay. Okay. The principal idea for a writer might look at ways.
No, but this is very good. Try to stay like in another way, but maybe change the word way for another one.
Hand.
For example, case. In another case.
Another case.
That's better, because that largely depends on the context of our sentence. So, in another case. I'll write them. I'll look at ways he or she communicates with others electronically via email or texting. Facebook. That's good. Thank you, Freddy. Now, students might, and here I have that I need to make another exemplary transition. Students might Find examples of reading communication skills by looking at the skills they've learned for previous reading assignments. So let's go ahead with Juli. Please help me with this one.
Yes. Is possible such?
Students might such.
Is additional example, yes?
Yes, but look at the context of the sentence. Students might such find examples. Does that sound correct?
Not much. Mm, mm,
Therefore, maybe
even
Students might even find examples of reading. Yeah, sounds good. Even. Students might even find examples of reading communications skills by looking at skills they've learned for previous reading assignments. Very good, Juli. Now, our second major idea. We know that we're talking about another subject. So this subject has to be related to students. Writers can look for different ideas from other people's experiences. So let's try to fill that in with the help of Freddy.
Yes, teacher.
This one right here.
Okay. Sí, como yo les digo. Can I use
Yeah, of course. Let's try to use this one instead. So we know we need to use an introductory sentence.
the principal
So we have illustration, time, space, concession. The concession.
The principal concession.
No, look. Try to use some of the transitional phrase right here, like although, at any rate, at least, still, thought, even though.
The concession. Although, at any rate, let's still. Maybe still.
Still, let's look at it. We write it still. Still, students write it can look for ideas from other people's experiences. Very good. That makes sense. Thank you, Freddie. Now, another example. I know that I have to use an exemplary transition. Let's look at the exemplary transitions, but from the web page. So we have illustration. Illustration does, for example, for instance, namely, to illustrate, in other words, in particular, specifically, and such as. And let's go back to the exercise. And I have, okay, writers can interview other students or even family members. One sentence. Patricia, help me with this one.
I can use for instance, writers can interview other students or even family members.
Look at it. For instance, writers can interview other students or family members. Very good. Sounds very good. Thank you, Patricia.
Okay.
Now, there's one thing. And well, it's not applicable to this exercise. So look right here, we use for instance. And so we don't want to sound repetitive because we want to have a very good score when we do the CEPTO. So in this case, since this for instance is being repeated, I have to change it. So Patricia, again, how would you change that for that instance to sound similar but with other kind of words?
Okay, teacher, I can use for example or maybe in particular.
Excellent, that sounds better. So let's stick with for example.
Okay, teacher.
For example, writers can interview other students or even family members. Very good. Now, I have to give an additional example. A writer
In particular, teacher.
in particular, all right, fully. So, this one, right here, you mean in particular, right?
Yeah.
In particular, a writer may have heard others talk about this topic, maybe in a class. Excellent, that was very good. Here we have additional example. Another source will be television shows on the topic of communication. Good, it's already there. Dear major idea. I need to use a transition of concession. I need to start talking about something new. Let's refer to the web page. Although, at any rate, at least, still, this is though. It shouldn't be wrote like that. Even though, granted that, while it may be true in spite of course. Now, Lauren, how would you answer that? Lauren, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Therefore,
let's look at it.
mm,
Therefore, college writers may find that they need to do some research to complete the assignment. Very good, you got it. Now, example, so I need to make an illustration. Let's refer to illustration again. The first one. We have thus, for example, for instance, namely to illustrate, in other words, in particular, specifically such as. Keep in mind, these are not the only one transitions that we have. We have millions, and it largely depends on your originality. You can use this. It's easier if you use this. So let's try to use an illustration transition for this one. Lots of experts have written articles or books on the topic of communication skills. Freddie, which one would you use?
That's the reason.
Can you say that again?
That is the reason. Is the reason lots of expect writer articles?
Try to use one of
The
this.
reason. Namely.
All right, let's go ahead and use namely. Namely, lots of experts have written articles on the topic of communication skills. Very good. It sounds good, and it makes sense. Now we have two final ones. Lots of experts. No. Let's start by reading this sentence. We know that we have to start with a new paragraph. So additional example, this is probably concession. For concession, we have although, at any rate, at least, still, though, even though, granted, well, midway true, in spite of, and of course. Knowing that, Juli, which one would you use? Right here.
Although, teacher.
Okay. I'm sorry. Although a search of communication skills on the internet might provide useful information. Moreover, references librarians. Okay, that sounds very good. Yeah, thank you, Juli. And finally, we know that we're closing the essay. So we probably have to use finally, in conclusion, in summary, and so on. Which one would you guys use? And for this, I want Patricia. All right, Freddy. So Freddy says finally. How about you, Patricia?
We can use in conclusion. Hello.
Yeah, in conclusion. Do you want to stick with that one?
Yes, I like this one.
Okay, let's read. In conclusion, college writers need to be able to draw on a combination of personal experience, observation. Alright, well, we notice that is making indeed a conclusion. Finally works because we're ending our essay. However, in conclusion seems to fit more as we're making a summary of what we just talked. So we're gonna leave in conclusion, alright? Alright, we got it. Now let's look at it from the beginning. Now imagine you are teachers and you got one student who made this essay for you to be evaluated. You have to evaluate this from 1 to 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. We're gonna read. Students can draw on a variety of sources to help them with writing assignments. As you know, they can draw on personal experience. For instance, for an assignment about communication skills, a writer might think about the way he or she communicates through conversations with others while at work or at home. In another case, a writer might look at the way he or she communicates with others electronically, via email or texting or Facebook. Students might even find examples of communication skills by looking at skills they've learned for previous writing assignments. Still, writers can look for ideas from other people's experiences. For example, writers can interview other students or even family members. In particular, a writer may have heard others talk about this topic, maybe in class. Another source will be television shows on the topic of communication. Therefore, college writers may find that they need to do some research to complete an assignment. Namely, lots of experts have written articles or books on the topic of communication skills. Although a search of communications on the internet might provide useful information. Moreover, reference librarians can help students find research materials in special collections or databases. In conclusion, college writers need to be able to draw on a combination of personal experience, observations of others, and research materials to develop their reading assignments. Right, now let's go ahead and evaluate that as if it was the CEPTO. Go back. So, Patricia, would you say that the transitional phrases were repetitive?
I think that we wrote some words that could be repeated, that we changed while we were working in the exercise. Maybe we can change some words.
Okay, and how about the score according to repetition? Was it very repetitive or it was very clear?
So it has not repetitive words, but if I have to give you a score, I could say that 7/10.
All right. Thank you. 7 out of 10. However, well, there's clearly no repetition, so I will give you guys a 10 out of 10. This is what will the CEPTO do. CEPTO evaluator. How about cohesion? By cohesion, I mean, does it make sense? Does it make sense? So, Lauren, does that text make sense for you? Lauren, go ahead and talk.
The test, teacher?
Yes, does it make sense to you?
Yes. That's it.
Yes. How would you rate it? 10 out of 10? 7 out of 10? 8 out of 10?
I think 10.
I will say the same. It makes a lot of sense. How about analysis? All right, thank you. Lauren, you can close your microphone.
Is 10 out of 10?
Analysis. How about this one? Yes, 10 out of 10. But I'm going to ask about analysis to another person.
Okay.
Thank you. So Freddy, would you say that it had a good analysis?
Yes, teacher.
How would you rate it?
I think it was great for me. It was great. It's clear. The principal idea of all the text is clear. I can introduce in the text.
Okay, and from a scale from 1 to 10, how much would you give it in analysis?
10 to 10.
Very good. I agree with you. It has a very good analysis. Now, in general, if you present a text like that, just by working on the how's it called, the transitions, you're gonna get obviously a 10 out of 10. You're gonna get the maximum score. Now, finally, to close this lesson, I want to talk about the human factor. So you can be a great writer, but you need to also talk about your own reflections and what you want to tell the world. In the case of the CEPTO, you're gonna be evaluated by a teacher. So try to move her. If you can make her laugh, if you can make her sad, that's gonna be amazing, and that's gonna add you more points. In summary, in order to do that and to move people, it's important to start using these transitional phrases. I'm gonna share the link. I personally use this always when I write. When I have to write an essay and I'm stuck with one particular idea and I don't know how to continue with a paragraph, this is how you unfrozen yourself. You can say that. Unfreeze yourself. Yeah. And that's it. Now is the time for the questions if you have any.
Teacher, how many time is give us when the CEPTO writer is how many time give us?
40 minutes. This is the exercise, and you get 40 minutes to talk about one question.
Thank you.
All right. Another question, maybe? Okay. Well, I guess that will be it. You're gonna have the recording if you wanted to repeat this lesson. I appreciate your attendance, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you, teacher and partners.
Teacher.
Bye bye.
Mhm.
Bye. Thank you for your time, teacher. See you.
Goodbye.